welcome back to another episode of the MNO Podcast. This is, I believe, episode 8. I am once again joined by Breb and BlueSheep, who, I think he's blindfolded himself, but whatever. Basically, this is
more like a sensor bar.
This is,
more of a...
So, yeah, anyways, this is being recorded right after the season finale of MNO Season 4.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we're pretty much going to talk about, behind-the-scenes stuff, right?
Yeah, we are only going to talk about MNO Season 4 today. And in later episodes, we will also talk about other recent issues and things and topics. But this episode will just be reserved for MNO.
Yeah, so basically this is going to be us reminiscing about Season 4 and the behind-the-scenes process for everything.
One thing to note, Season 4 is the only season that didn't have at least one war.
Oh, I mean, it did have the, scripted war.
It's not a war.
I guess.
That doesn't count.
But
it's just roleplay and one battle. Also, for the viewers, very much spoilers. If you haven't watched the MNO Season 4 series, do it right now. I recommend you watch either TCM's series, which is very well made, or even my series, which is also very well made. Either of them works, so it's up to you.
Yeah.
Which one do you like best?
Yeah, link in the description for those who want to check it out before you get spoiled in this entire episode.
So I guess we should start by talking about how Season 4 even began and the thought process behind Season 4 before it actually started.
Yes. So, I remember we were on this very map, the Mega Revamp map, which is where we're on right now.
Oh yeah, by the way, for the viewers, the interior, like the room we are in right now, does seem very familiar. The textures may be a little off. I don't know if you're using the programmer art thingy or not, but this map that we're actually on is called MNO Mega Revamp, which is basically a map with all the MNO chunks from every single world onto a single giant map, which is also way better looking and revamped, and yeah, it's glorious. I worked a lot on it.
Yeah.
And I also have a video on it. So, yeah.
And I just remember, I just sort of decided to, join him. We were just sort of doing our thing. I don't remember what we were doing, but I was just building. We were pacing around. And at some point within our conversation, a question was brought up. Where would MNO be if the Dino Apple War had never happened? So...
Yeah.
Yeah, so... That then led into this, crazy discussion where we both basically ended up solving a bunch of lore and, coming up with ideas for Season 4. Because we sort of came up with this idea, what if there's, a multiverse? MNO, but certain wars had never happened, or certain people had won the wars, or whatever.
And this was, over the span of, 3 or 4 days of, everyday sessions on this map, I guess.
Yeah, and I just remember, what these ideas were brought up, and I was just there, whoa, this is creative. This is actually so creative. I was, actually impressed at, this idea. But yeah, this ended up turning into the alternate universe idea. I don't know if that's going to be, released by the time this episode's released.
Yeah, at the point of recording this episode of the podcast, we haven't even properly started working on the videos of that yet, so yeah.
Yeah.
Stay tuned,
I
guess.
basically finished the map for that thing.
You have, yes. You basically just need to start scripting, and then I guess we'll help you record the thing.
Yeah, I need to make the lore and shit.
Yeah, TCM is 75% done with his map,
Yeah, I just have a
and
few,
I am
like,
like 5%.
I have a few projects I just want to finish there, then I guess I'll be done. But anyways, I remember in that same session we had also solved the Schubert Kane lore. We solved, because I don't think I really noticed the, like, sort of hidden lore that was in Breb's first, or no, remade episodes of season 1.
Right from this point, there are like 3 topics that we could like go over. I don't even know which branch to choose. Like, but first of all, I think it's I guess we'll come back to Schubert, because that is another story in itself. We will come back to that a little later, but basically, right after those very productive discussions, then for one night, we also have a video of this. Aaron decided to join us on this map and basically just mess around, have some fun. We do have a video of this. It's called MNO Members at 3 a.m. map. We basically
Yeah.
just messed around, but we also discussed some lore with Aaron. And in that video, at one point, Aaron said, we should probably start season 4, right? It's been a while.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So then we pitched our ideas to Aaron, and we basically, of course, the alternate universe ideas came first, but then together with Aaron, we made an entirely new set of ideas for the MNO season 4 canon. And of course, we talked even more about all of those ideas, and we then pitched them to the rest of the MNO members, which at first seemed very excited about this.
Yeah.
And yeah, eventually, all of this led to the start of season 4. Actually, I think it's worth mentioning that season 4 technically started a year earlier almost, because in 2023, I tried. It was mostly an effort between me, PCM, and Daniel, but us three tried to start season 4 on Classic, and we wanted to do this like huge ocean map thing with tons of cool builds and epic stuff. It then failed because of very little activity. So we took a few months to rethink this, time in which I worked on Mega Revamp. And then Aaron came along and said, "Oh, but I don't want to do classic. I don't want to do alpha. I want to do release. I want to do
Yeah.
release versions."
And I agreed
So
with him at the
I
time.
basically had to scrap the entire concept I had for season 4 previously, and make room for whatever Aaron was gonna do. Because he wanted to have like release versions, wanted to have an economy, and I even remember saying, I don't really like this idea, but okay, fine. We'll let you, Aaron, cook this season. Like this season will be devoted to you. But at least let's try to have a story. Okay, let's try
Yeah.
to implement the concept that we talked about. All right.
Yeah, yeah. And at some point, I think after we did the podcast, the concept of dictatorship was brought up. It was I think it might have been brought up as like a joke,
Oh
and then it turned
boy.
into a real
Now
idea.
it's my time.
And it was originally actually going to be Aaron that was going to be the dictator, but we could.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't want to. I don't know why. It took. You guys do not know how much of a struggle it was to actually find someone to play that role. Like
Yeah,
we were,
because like we started season 4, and we got into like release versions, knowing that Aaron will be the dictator. We even recorded a scene with Aaron, the build like starting to build up for his role to be the dictator, which did end up in PCM's episode 2, I think. Like the one scene with Aaron was supposed to be his start of the character arc,
Yeah.
but that never happened because and suddenly, out of absolutely nowhere, decided, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know why. I just don't want to do this. I don't feel like it.
Yeah, and you'll
And we're like,
notice.
oh shit, what do we do?
Yeah, and you'll notice in my video, like, I edited out the parts that actually contain his character. I just kept in, like, funny moments with him.
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
was just trying to make it look like. I was just trying to, like, add filler footage to make it look like the server was dying before the dictatorship. Like, just.
Because it was really dying at
Yeah.
that point.
So I was just adding as much of, like, the filler footage that I had, just to imply that, like, there is nothing interesting going on for the first half of this episode. And.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it was like at first I was like super dedicated. Like, we came up with this idea. We're not gonna let this fail. We're gonna have to find somebody. But man, it was a struggle.
Yeah. And after this happened, then we asked a bunch of members. We asked Linux Script to be the dictator. He, of course, warmly agreed at first, but said, I can't do this, guys, for whatever reason. Then we asked Spring Gaming. He said, no, I can't do this. I just want to do my thing. Then we asked Steve 2024. I think he agreed for a bit as well, then said no.
I don't
Then we
remember.
asked Brad Carlton, and he had an entirely different idea for for the story of the season, so that wasn't gonna work. Then I asked Chusco, he was too busy. Did we ask Fatal? I think we asked him too.
No, I don't think he even joined until after we already
No, he
found our
didn't join.
dictator.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Then did we also ask Greenfly? I don't know.
No, because you kept
No,
saying
we
like
didn't.
he wasn't gonna do anything. But you know.
Yeah. So there we were. We legitimately did not know who was gonna be dictator. But one fateful day, out of nowhere, Blue Sheep joins, I guess, rejoins TCM's Discord server. Out of nowhere.
Yeah,
And
he was
said,
like, just
hey
for
guys, I didn't know MNO was still gonna be a thing in 2024.
yeah, and just for the record, he was gone for like maybe like 2 years, maybe. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I
like,
was kicked in
that-
like the end of season 1, then briefly rejoined in season 3, burned
In
down the whole
3.
server, and then promptly disappeared for the time
Yeah.
in between that and the time I rejoined.
Yeah, and immediately as Blue Sheep joined that Discord server, I had an idea. Blue Sheep could be the perfect candidate for a dictator. Problem is, he was kicked out of MNO.
Yeah.
But the
Twice.
good part was that he could regain our trust and he could get back into the server.
Yeah, and when I showed Aaron that we were just having like a Minecraft session together, he was actually so much more willing than I thought to invite Blue Sheep back. Like, I was actually surprised at
Yeah,
how
even I was
willing.
surprised.
Like, he was
Okay,
like,
but let me explain how that happened. We actually tried once recording an entire series for the alternate universe thing, like for the Schubert Kane channel, and we had Blue Sheep on there, like just acting as himself, because we were supposed to do like this thing in that series where Blue Sheep also became a dictator there. And after recording like the first session, of course, the entire series got scrapped because we had so many issues with it. Like after we finished that session, we talked to Aaron, as you said, DCM, and he was actually willing to invite Blue Sheep back just because we did not have a dictator and we had no way of continuing this other than Blue Sheep. Then Blue Sheep joined the server and we explained the entire lore to him. What was your initial reaction, Blue Sheep? I forgot.
I always liked the lore. I think I said it was better than the FNAF lore at like the first time I heard about it, and I still agree with that. It's still better.
Yeah, like at this point, at this point in time, BlueSheep was absolutely ecstatic. He didn't even expect to rejoin season 4, let alone have the main role in it.
Yeah, if
Like,
somebody told this to me after the Sears War had ended, I would have told them that they
they're
were
crazy,
crazy and that they
delusional.
should check their mind or something.
So we then recorded episode 2. And by the way, for the viewers, um, basically, we have this. Me and TCM have the same format for our episodes in season 4. Like in my episode 2 and in his episode 2, basically almost the same stuff happens. Same with episode 3, episode 4, 5, 6, whatever.
Yeah.
Like they're the same. It just you just have to choose the
You
POV.
just have like different character arcs, both of our character arcs established,
Yeah.
basically.
And I guess now it would be a really good time to mention TCM's whole goal for season 4, which
Yeah.
is dominating the server.
So basically, the reason I had set this goal is basically it's my character arc is that I'm supposed to like want to feel validated in that sort of way, but then I learned at the end of the series that I actually don't really need that. And after like having everyone try to take over my city and whatnot, so basically I build this town called Classitopia.
You might have heard of it. We are in it right now.
Yeah, we're
If you
in.
look out the window.
Well, this is the first variant of Classitopia. I actually plan to build a new Classitopia now that season 4 is over, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Classitopia is like basically my whole thought was if I just like build a city as soon as I can before people actually start to be active, then I could probably just rule the server, you know? And
Yeah,
then
exactly.
eventually it's set so that BlueSheep takes it over. And I get super like hyper focused on the fact that I don't own the server. And I think I wanted to have it so that I almost ended up like forgetting the actual like goal of making the server better. And I only focus
Yeah.
on like taking it back rather than making it better.
Yeah. Also, fun fact: this can be partially traced to the fact that in the original season 4, sorry, in 2023, Aaron, since he was so disinterested in the server, actually made TCM a co-owner. So
Yeah.
I guess yeah, he's just exercising his co-owner powers. I guess.
Yeah, but also I think it was mainly me trying to like symbolize my sort of desire to like be the best, but like the sort of inner desire I have that I don't really express usually to just like be to just be seen as like the cool one, the backbone of everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's exactly and that symbolism is like directly traced to the alternate universe idea. Like it's literally just about us wanting to own MNO and be like the main man behind it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's DCM's whole motivation for the server for the season. But then comes along, and I guess his first speech illustrates just how dead and empty the server was at that point. And
And
yeah,
those were actually
like
real issues at the time.
yeah, like all BlueSheep had to do was just do one speech saying that, hey, I'm gonna bring leadership to MNO. This can be fixed, and everyone voted for him. Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah,
doesn't even need to have high standards. We just need a guy.
yeah, exactly.
who sort of knows what he's doing, kind of. And
Yeah.
then Blue Sheep gets elected as the dictator, and then actually starts doing really good stuff, right? Or at least planning and contributing to doing really good stuff
Yeah.
together with the rest of us, obviously. And that's kind of what you can see in episodes 3 and 4. It's just progress, right? Before Blue Sheep ever was dictator, we had this glitch called the infinite items glitch, which got patched in like 2 versions after. So our infinite items stopped working because we are super reliant on infinite items at that point, which meant the server was suddenly experiencing a giant food shortage, a giant block shortage, and basically a giant everything shortage. There was
Yeah.
no infrastructure whatsoever, no organization whatsoever. So obviously, the first thing was to create an industrial district, to create some farms to get us rolling, and actually working towards fixing this. And that's what we did. We created the iron farm, the crop farm, the villager breeder. Then I worked on the metro line, um, for transportation purposes. Then what else did we do? Then he revamped Classitopia at one point. Well, I guess it was actually me who tidied it up, but in canonically it's Blue Sheep and server. So yeah, we did all those things. Blue Sheep then, like over the course of these two, and I guess a little bit of episode 5, basically achieved his goals together with us. So that was like um super exciting. Like, look, a dictator gets elected and actually does good stuff. Basically, that was his high point, like in episode 5. Like, Classitopia was tidied up, the shortages were all gone, the infrastructure was, I guess, not all there, but it was definitely very quickly improving. But then came his first misstep, because from this very high and prestigious image of Blue Sheep, um, of course, because he's the dictator, he needs to do something really bad in order to eventually get ousted from his post. And the first misstep for him was to implement this new rule saying that we couldn't build or revamp anything without his permission.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where and this is when I start to become like, no, I will dominate MNO no matter what it takes. I will, like, reject this rule and build whatever I want. And this is when we did the underground city.
To protest against that rule, me and TCM and also Steve 2024 and Chusiko got together and built the underground city, which is now known as Undertopia. We built this as a somewhat hidden safe haven to quote unquote get like be able to take a breather in between takes and just have our little safe space. In reality, it was a lot of work.
Oh my god. Like,
Oh my god, yeah. We spent 2 weeks excavating that giant room. In reality, this could have been done in like 1 or 2 days if the server was actually active, but because of activities and delays, because not all of us were available all of the time, this took 2 weeks just to excavate that giant room. And mind you, throughout this entire period, basically from the beginning of the server, with a little exception, like when Blue Sheep became dictator, up until this point, the server in terms of activity was pretty much dead, and we were not able to recover activity. and we still aren't, and we will
Yeah.
not be able to do that any longer moving forward
Yeah, and the whole thing
because
about like losing activity, not even we were really that excited about doing our episodes at one point. It got to a point where I was just like super monotone, trying to act like I actually gave a shit about what I was saying, but in reality, I was just like, it just felt like I had to at times because it was like,
I always loved recording the episodes, but I will always hate editing videos.
as TCM had his own motive to dominate the server, my whole like motif, I guess, throughout my episode is everything is just kind of very desaturated. Like if you
yeah,
watch like episode 3, episode 4, 5, 6 especially, even 7, like everything looks super desaturated. I sound kind of monotone at
same.
times. I like I just try to do my best to do progress, I guess.
Yeah, same.
At this
Beefing.
point, we got our foot pretty deep into the door. We got BlueSheep. We got the roleplay started. We got all of this. There's no way we can let this flop.
Yeah, it just
And
felt
that's the
like,
mentality we carried throughout the entire rest of the season.
yeah.
Like even though the server is dead, even though there's nobody actually playing on it besides us, we have we absolutely must end this season. We
Yeah.
must complete this.
There were certain times where I
Our
was like,
limit script did join a few times.
yeah. But there were a few occasions where if I was just like, can we please just let this go? This isn't gonna work. Like I said that a lot throughout this, but we finally got to finish it. It took very long.
Yeah,
Yay.
and every time he said that, every time I said we started this, there's no way we are not ending it the proper way.
Yeah. Like you were
So yeah.
like determined to like finish this. Like determined. And this was really a patience tester for all of us. It actually tested
Exactly.
our patience so goddamn much. You do not
Yeah.
know how much like things would get pushed back.
Yeah, and by that point in the story, so initially, like season 4 started in mid-April 2024. If we were to do one version every week as initially stated, we would have had to end the season in like mid-July. And TCM initially said, "Oh, that's too little. We can't do a season with this little amount of time."
Yeah.
And the thing is that we had to extend the season a lot,
Oh my god,
because
yes.
we
We
reached
extended it.
like
Like, we thought this was gonna end in summer. We extended it to
no
MFing 2025.
D5.
2025. Cactus year.
Yeah, and like this at this point we couldn't even like consider this like a normal server. At this point we were like movie directors trying to
Yeah.
shoot scenes for episodes and
Yeah.
constantly trying to find available times when all of us could record. Sometimes the recordings didn't end up properly, so we would have to redo them. Oh my gosh, it was such a pain. And by the middle of it, I already started effectively hating season 4. And I still do. I still hate season 4. Like, of course, on screen, it went very well. But in reality, I really freaking hate this season.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
So, I was having a chat with Fatal, and we were talking about MNO. He loves hearing me type about MNO, like type the lore out, but he says that he can't really watch the videos because we don't really sound like we're being genuine. Like, he says it's like a million times more interesting when it's actually like told rather than portrayed by us.
We should do a video, or actually two videos, First video would be an updated video of the history of MNO. There is already a video up out there, but it only goes to like the start of season 3,
Yeah.
which is not a
This
lot,
one
so
should
we
be a
have to
little bit
update
more
that.
detailed. The
Absolutely.
the one I have watched was pretty undetailed.
Yeah, I don't really like that one. First of all, my
The whole
voice sounds like
Gemini
I'm fucking
War was
dying.
full of
And
the Gemini War was full of lore, and it was just shortened to Blue Sheep and Breb were mad and started their own MNO, and that's it.
yeah, and
I know.
because two things. First of all, I fucking hate how my voice sounded in that video. Second of all, I didn't go into very much detail at some parts.
Yeah. And the second video we need to do is MNO lore explained, which would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on. The underground city eventually gets found out by BlueSheep by accident, and the way this happened is that he literally wanted to mine for diamonds, and dug straight down into the um like tree room of the underground city, right? And of course, this was planned, of course. But Chusico really wanted to assassinate Blue Sheep as soon as possible. Like, he was really insistent on this idea. And I said, you know what? Fine. You know what we'll do? When Blue Sheep finds the underground city, you're going to ambush him and assassinate him on the spot. And that's what we eventually did. Of course, getting all the members together to record that scene was a nightmare.
As usual.
Also,
And
before that, I got like a lot of bedrock and command blocks just because I could. I didn't
yeah,
even
we
know
will
about
get.
this the secret city thing. And when
Yeah,
Chusical killed me, all of that like dropped and was literally perfect.
It was so
yeah,
perfect.
exactly. Yeah, we will get to talk about why Blue Sheep had illegal items in just a minute. Okay. Um, so after this happened, of course, due to lucky timing, canonically speaking, um, I wasn't in the scene when it happened. Right, I did have my time lapse account, which was like in a very weird angle, but which managed to capture the thing happening. For some reason, I was in the industrial district while this happened, but I was recording the time lapse window very conveniently. So I had to go back to the underground city to see what was happening, and that's why canonically, I even stated this. Blue Sheep didn't find me as responsible for this because I wasn't there when it happened, and because I wasn't like mentioned anywhere. So after this happened, of course, I proposed we go build the metro first, like the rest of the metro. Then we get sent to the work motivation thing. And then a very interesting thing happens in my episode, and this is very important. The at least for me, the first apparition of server. And now I
Yeah.
think it's the time we dig into this character.
I
So
just want to
who
like.
is server?
So I just want to explain how this was created. Back when I had my own MNO spinoff called Classic SMP, I sort of randomly had this idea one day to just like troll people, sort of. It was like sort of a troll, but sort of like me just messing around. I decided to join. I had this idea to like join with the username server before the server had even started, and I was like, what if I just like have access to everything and just straight up like pretend that I am the server? It'd be really funny if I did that. So I did that. Didn't quite like work as I thought, but I thought it was like a really good character idea. Like it just straight up was like a sentient server.
Yeah, and of course, Windows and Doors, who was hosting the server at the time, really didn't like this
He
for
tried to
whatever reason.
ban the account.
Exactly. Yeah. Thinking it was some kind of imposter or something. I don't even know. Like,
Yeah,
Windows
what
and
a
Doors is
Yeah.
a
terrible
terrible
server
server host.
Yeah, no, I remember why. He said that it wasn't fair that the server entity had OP items and people could log on as it, even though people could have logged on as us too, anyways.
Exactly. Because, fun fact, all of the MNO servers ever, besides the public ones, were in offline mode. Basically, meaning that we could join with any username. And in fact, it is still like that to this day, even though now I am the server
It is
host.
even like this right now. Ooh.
And when we were discussing the lore and the plan for season 4 with Aaron, of course, Aaron was gonna be the dictator, and it will all culminate to a point where we had to get rid of the dictator. But I suggested a little plot twist. What if the dictator the entire time was actually controlled by this server guy?
I don't remember how this idea even came to be or who suggested it first. But yeah, I just
Yeah,
remember.
me neither.
No, I actually remember I did the like server troll again, but with season 4 since there were people online. So I just decided to do it again like years later. I did it a few times on historical SMP as well. But like it was just me like screwing around being like, "What's up? I'm the server. Isn't that cool? I can talk in purple text." Because the server was able to talk in purple text originally, but yeah, I think that just sort of put the idea of that character back into our minds, and then someone suggested that idea.
Throughout our episodes, but mostly TCM's episodes up until episode 5, server has made some appearances. Mostly just like checking on us, saying, "Oh, he's the
Yeah.
server," whatever. But in episode 5, like obviously in Blue Sheep's POV, it isn't edited yet, but I will include this. You will get to see how server met Blue Sheep, how they made the deal. Like, of course, Blue Sheep was mostly on his own, but server started getting more and more and more control of Blue Sheep, right? And it became more and more and more of a symbiosis, which is also the term I described sugarcane and fabulous fungi as, but we will get to that in a bit. And yeah,
But in Blue Sheep's
then
case, it's more of a possession.
yeah, then server enters the scene for me in episode 5 with a dialogue scene. In which, of course, canonically, I am aware of his existence, and I just wanted to have a little chat to see what's going on. And he gives me some important info on Blue Sheep's side, such as the fact that I am in fact innocent. And then I say, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna head to the work motivation place, anyways." And then the work motivation arcs started happening. Where we went to the work motivation place, which is basically MNO prison, and also
It's more of a gulag than a prison.
yeah, a gulag, and basically was like a giant swamp island in the middle of nowhere where we had to work. Like if we had to work, we should build farms, work on those farms, and slowly but surely it turned into a kind of second industrial district. Of course, then Blue Sheep checked on the progress twice, but after 2 weeks of the work motivation place, both canonically and in real life, we got bored of it. Yeah, but then the silver lining came in the form of server, which I guess server at this point is kind of a double agent between me and Blue Sheep. It's definitely more on Blue Sheep's side, but since like all the activity was now concentrated in the work motivation place, which didn't really have much to do with the rest of the map. He actually helped us by creating a way for us to escape through the end dimension. And since I was smart enough to not let anyone sleep in the beds there and reset their spawn point in the work motivation place, which BlueSheep wanted canonically, we managed to beat the Ender Dragon and return back to Classitopia. And after this happened, we basically went on like try to wrap up because of course we gotta end the season. It was already like November at this point. So we wrapped up the projects, but then we remembered, hold on, Blue Sheep is actually kind of doing pretty well for himself. Besides those two blunders, like the rule implementation and sending us to WMP. And from here on now, Blue Sheep's reputation goes downhill really quickly. Because then comes his third blunder, which is trapping a lot of members in a bedrock cage and doing experiments on them. Like that was a really big canonic blunder of his.
That just sounds funny to me for some reason.
It is kind of funny in
The,
a twisted,
the
dark
experiments
sense.
part.
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, this was coordinated by both Blue Sheep and Server. Then I had another chat with Server on this topic, where I mentioned that if anything else like this comes up again, I will end Server. Which, spoiler alert, it did actually happen at the end of the season. Then I went to save those members, quote unquote, trying to bring activity back to the server. Then basically came the start of the finale with Blue Sheep's last speech, where he mentioned that all people who escaped from the work motivation place and from the bedrock cage, all of them will be sent to the work motivation place, which of course didn't sit well with anyone, because this was basically handicapping the server's activity, which there was very little of anyways. So of course protests started happening, and these protests very quickly became very chaotic. I even mentioned this in my episode that they were super like overwhelming, chaotic, whatever. So both me and TCM retreated to our safe spots. For me, it was a secret base I built towards like the middle of the season, and for TCM was the underground city. And that's where both of our episodes 8 ends. And then comes episode 9 for both of us, which basically in those safe hiding spots, we spot some very unusual portals which lead us to the alternate universe thing. I don't want to talk too much about it because not even we know too much about it at this point.
It's like, anyway,
Again.
so it's like, here we are. This is our lore, and then here's a part where it's like, we don't know yet, but we're gonna tell you guys.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna pull off my alternate universe thing.
Neither do we, but
I'm probably gonna.
that's what we're gonna be working on for the next
Yeah, but
few weeks.
you know how to transition from episode 8 to episode 9. How am I gonna transition to episode 9?
And basically, when we come back from these alternate universes, suddenly, or at least I am, very full of motivation like the video isn't desaturated anymore. I'm like more motivated, more energetic, more everything. And I return back to Classitopia. Like canonically, this is like episodes, the end of episode 8, episode 9, and episode 10 are like canonically recorded one after the other. So you can think of it as like one single night. Okay, so the protest starts at like I don't know 10 p.m. Romanian time. Then I go into hiding. Then like a few hours pass in the alternate universe thing. Then like I guess towards the morning, Romanian and Bosnian time at least, like we return. Everyone is still on, still like doing madness, and I come back to Classitopia and I stop this, and then we propose a duel at the top of the tower of Classitopia, and I say, "Come on, guys, we have 15 minutes to do this, to get ready. We'll meet there," and then the final fight scene takes place. Um, So basically, it is me and TCM against Blue Sheep. And of course, it was supposed to be an unfair fight. Like, of course, Blue Sheep dies.
Yeah,
But
I'm
the
I'm
plot
really bad at
twist,
PvP.
yeah. And for the record, thanks to Server, who is very heavily possessing Blue Sheep at this point, Blue Sheep has access to very overpowered items. So he has like protection 10 or 15 on his armor, like sharpness 10 on his sword and stuff like that. So it's slightly more balanced. But then the plot twist is that the fight doesn't end there. Like Blue Sheep dies, but then Server steps in with even more overpowered items. And Server uh, manages to overpower TCM and kills him. Then knocks me out of the tower, and basically because of the warning I made to server, I go downstairs and shut down the server PC, ending the season.
You forgot to mention the bit where I'm supposed to contain the server in a crappy PC I have laying around.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to recording this part, but after this, I send the server folder thing to Blue Sheep, and he contains it um, on one of his PCs.
I have many crappy computers.
Yeah, exactly. So he has options.
I have one good one. I have one slightly worse one. I have one uh really bad one. I have one that's really really bad, and I have one that's absolute dog water.
And then after this whole thing happens, the MNO modded Technic post finale thing um, starts happening. This is another thing Aaron really wanted to do, and even if we devoted this entire season to Aaron, like right after he canceled the dictatorship thing, he basically went on live support. He wasn't really active much, except for some scenes, but yeah, he wasn't really there. But at least he's been enjoying Technic, I guess.
The Technic server is really cool, but it's suffering from the same problems as the main one.
Yeah, like even as he first came up with this idea, I knew that this Technic server was not gonna last. Like nobody's gonna be playing on it, because like Aaron is gonna play on it obviously because he likes it, but the rest of us just want to move on. Yeah, so that's kind of the behind the scenes of season 4 so far. That's kind of the story. That's kind of how it happened. Um,
Also, a quick note to Aaron. I think people would play a lot more if the spawn wasn't so horrible.
Aaron's server, laptop, whatever crashed, which meant that the world kind of corrupted. Like, of course, the thing that Aaron built is still there, but the spawn changed to a random location. Like, actually, no, it changed to 0, 0, but those chunks got reset, and you have to walk a lot to get to the built-up areas, and
And the
it's a
spawn
pain.
is filled with volcanoes.
Yeah, it's
And
a pain.
it's like walking through the Brazilian rainforest. You will die.
That's kind of it for season 4.
Have we spoken about
Was
everything?
I think yes. Oh wait, there is actually one more thing we could talk about, which is how we recorded the finale, which was an entire journey of its own. So basically, we did take one of the finale with a lot of people. We managed to get a lot of people, and this happened in like late November. But then I didn't really like how Take One came out, even though TCM actually really likes it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
I
I
also
didn't.
like that one.
I
Yeah,
love
but
the
I
first
didn't
thing.
because it was chaotic and not in a good way. And like we didn't really follow the script we were supposed to follow. So it took us up until January 2nd, I think, to do take two of the finale. Not to mention that in take one we didn't even do the final fight because I was uh too tired. Same with everyone else. And then we did take two, except like right before the final fight, I got really brutally cut off by mom because it was late. I mean, it wasn't even that late, but I don't know.
Yeah, even I got scared from that one.
Yeah, so we had to postpone the final fight again, which took like 2 more weeks to finally agree on a date. Then we did the final fight, and we like had to constantly redo the fight because either I got logged off for no reason, or the weather wasn't quite right, or things weren't going to plan, or stuff like that. But the last take was absolutely perfect. The moment where the weather turns to lightning storm was unscripted. This is also true for the first Blue Sheep speech. Both of those moments were unscripted, yet were genius, absolutely genius. So we use that. Of course, I fall off the tower properly. I don't think TCM dying was actually part of the script. Like, I don't think that was actually supposed to happen. But yeah, it went pretty well, finally. So, yeah, we finally managed to complete most of the canon of season 4.
Yay!
And that's all I have to say about that. Let's do a little change of scenery now, shall we? There we go. This is the next day Breb, by the way. Right now we are inside of Schubert's castle, still on the Mega Revamp map. Last night we did record a part where we talked about Schubert, but it was very late at night. I was tired and I kept stuttering, mispronouncing words and repeating myself way too much, so I decided to re-record this segment myself. Schubert is quite an interesting member of our server and has quite a unique bit of lore associated with them, which I will briefly go over right now. First of all, who is Sugarcane and who is Fabulous Fungi? For starters, they are not your average MNO member, that's for sure, as they act more like two entities interacting through the same account and same username. It's like a 2-in-1 kind of deal. They are heavily associated with the lore more than any other member. That's why they're usually considered to be closer to a lore member, along with the likes of server, spawn, skin, and season. For most instances in which they appear, Schubert appears the most on screen, Fabulous Fungi being the one that mostly exists in the backstage, so to speak. Of course, their whole character is surrounded in a very thick layer of mystery, as a surprisingly little amount of information is known about them, mostly leaving things up to interpretation and our best guesses. Fun fact, the only other time in which this kind of symbiosis has happened in MNO is actually during the MNO Civil War, with me and Breb instead. While recording that episode, we actually sat on the same chair, perfectly coordinating ourselves by making very quick decisions and swapping between who is in control of the character, while both playing on the same laptop. One can only assume something similar is going on in their case. Anyways, after joining, Schubert mostly had the role of spying on Silver MNO between seasons 1 and 2, afterwards choosing to ditch this role in favor of starting a series on Golden MNO instead. After GMNO had ended, Schubert migrated to season 3 after the reunification, where they played an important role in the season, founding a castle/kingdom with a few other members joining in as well, including me, Daniel, Chusicle, and Brad Carlton. Season 3 was also supposed to have a roleplay story, but because of the very little activity in the second half of the season, it got scrapped. Basically, the MNO population were to split into two groups, the fungi with the members I mentioned earlier, and the rest, which were to be called the Blues. These two groups were to then start a rivalry, which was supposed to culminate into a second civil war by the end of the season. After season 3, Schubert and Fungi have since been forgotten. They do not appear at all for 99% of season 4. Their name is never mentioned or referred to. It's like if they never existed. That is, until episode 9, in which I go through the portal to an alternate universe, which takes place in 2021, right before the season finale of an alternate season 2. In this alternate season 2, Golden MNO overtook Silver MNO and became the official MNO, and Schubert and Fungi played a much larger role, being much more involved and well written. As I leave the alternate universe through the portal, Schubert follows me through season 4, which is the reason why he appears as part of the audience in the final fight against BlueSheep and Server. Now then, moving on to our final topic for today. What's next? Well, at the time of recording this episode of the MNO Podcast, we have still not yet finished our Season 4 series. Besides episode 9, which will be entirely dedicated to the alternate universe, I will upload one more episode, that being episode 11, which will act as a conclusion to my entire MNO series. After the epic failure that was Season 4, unfortunately, a Season 5 is very unlikely to happen anytime soon. After all of these years, all of us have gotten bored of MNO, and we think it might be finally time to move on, at least for now. We will, of course, remain friends, most of us at least, and still do collabs together. In fact, we have a few ideas already planned out for collabs, which we'll do during this year, so stay tuned for those. For the time being, I think this is it for this episode of the MNO Podcast. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to all of the MNO members, and we shall see you guys next time. Bye bye.